Hey, what's going on, guys? Oh, now just to clarify, this is 9:34 p.m. It is 10/31, 2016. It is still, Christmas. Not, I'm getting my holidays mixed up. It is still Halloween night. For some odd reason, I'm skipping ahead to Christmas. My brain's not here, guys. My brain is in multiple different directions. Um, had a have a lot of stuff going on in my life. I have a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm starting to, notice that the things that I want to keep as far as material stuff and, standing probably, I don't know. It's hard to form this video into words. Which, I wanted to talk about the last couple of years and what that means to me personally. I'll focus probably on the bad, like first, if I can, because I want to talk about all the positive things, next. As far as negative, times are changing, and when I say times are changing, I mean I'm a very one-track minded or tunnel visioned person, guys. I'm not good at multitasking. I don't like to multitask, and I know on YouTube and social media and stuff I probably shouldn't admit these kinds of things, but I've for many years kind of been a bit of a freeloader. I've kind of I got a job and I do pay bills, not enough, but I do help pay bills. But I've come to a point in my life, I think now, and it's kind of ironic, looking at the last couple of years, they've been great. They've been fun. I feel like I've gotten back the life that I feel I should have been owed, or at least in my opinion. But when I really examine that statement, I have to ask myself, why do I phrase it like that? And the truth of it is that I'm very selfish. I'm very selfish, guys, in the fact that I've come to finally the epiphany, the realization after many, many years that, I'm not the person or the man that I truly think I am. I'm not saying that I'm a terrible person or woe is me. I don't need pity and I don't need sympathy, at least not a whole lot, because a lot of the stuff that's happened to me in my life has been my own fault. I've come to the realization that, like most people do, I feel like I haven't done enough. Not just personally, but, I've starting to realize that a lot of my actions are affecting the people around me and putting situations forward that I've been kind of blind to. I've kind of turned an eye to because I didn't want to deal with it, and now, as is always the case with many things, especially in life, everything's coming to a head. Everything's converging to one point. And you're asking yourselves, well, Steve, what the hell are you talking about? I spent most of last week, at least at the time of this video, it's, Halloween night, still 9:39 p.m. Just to give you guys a timestamp on where I'm at. And I realized spending that entire week with my grandparents, or at my grandparents, or at my grandparents. I'm trying to speak like not low key, but like speak at a very even tone. So if I sound like I'm speaking too softly, guys, be sure to like turn up your volume a little bit. But I think I'm speaking even toned to where like you guys can hear me, but I'm not being obnoxiously loud. But I realized when I was at my grandparents that, I still have a very, very long way to go since the last couple of years. I thought with the last couple of years that I would, that I would be in a better position than I am now. And I've come to realize that, it takes a lot of hard work and sacrifice. Not that I didn't know that, when I started my comic book writing, but I don't think I ever really took the juxtaposition of it very seriously until last week when I was sitting there at my grandparents and I finally got the script done and I had nothing to distract me. I didn't have all these videos. I didn't, have my Xbox and all that stuff. And I mean, it was good. It was good to kind of break out of that mold. But when one doesn't have stuff to distract them in the moments when they're not working, you kind of start to think to yourself. You start to ponder on stuff that you don't really think about because you're too distracted. And I kind of started thinking with life, it's like, I don't drive, guys. I don't drive, but yet I feel horrible that I have to carpool with other people or rely on other people for transportation or, pay for public transportation and all that stuff. It's just, it's little things. It's not like major things, but it's like little nuances, like little things that, aren't really that serious or are, oh my God, that life threatening. But it's stuff that, it's the kind of stuff that sits in the back of your mind, guys, and you start to ponder. So I started wondering and asking myself, for the past couple of hours, like ever since I came back from that trip, I was all fun, but then today, knowing that, at least at the time of this video, I'm going back to work, which a lot of people do after vacation or getting time off. You go back to work, it's that grind of, well, I'm not really ready yet. And it's a pretty normal response, but I think for me it's more amplified because I feel like I would just be spinning my wheels again. Like I said at the beginning of this video, familiarity breeds contempt, as they say. And I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I'm starting to question, is my writing going to take off? Am I going to be successful if in the next couple of years with my writing, how much more do I have to sacrifice? How much more of my sanity do I have to lose, trying to juggle my social life, my work life, my alternate work life, with my writing. You know, how much more stuff do I feel like mentally or emotionally that I have to sacrifice? Good or bad to meet my goals. And to be honest, I don't feel happy with that, guys. I never will feel happy with that because, I can't juggle it all. I'm not a multitasker, and some part of me is bothered by that because I'm starting to realize now that the stuff I should have had done years ago is now catching up to me, and I'm now realizing how important it is. It started out just small, no big deal, okay, it'll come when it comes, but now, you know, TikTok, time is done, guys. It's like I either have to, make my big play or I just need to sit on the bench. As they say, in sports, especially football or basketball. It's like I either need to make my move, make my play, or sit or just bench myself. Because I'm trying to play the field. I'm trying to bench myself when it comes to important decisions that I really should be making. But I'm up and about with the stuff that isn't really honestly that important. And everybody's like, well, Steve, you're just trying out writing. It's like, why are you pressuring yourself? It's like I'm pressuring myself because I want to succeed. I want this to be something that I'm successful with. But it was interesting because I was reading, or rather listening, not too long ago to a podcast. I forget which, or some kind of video, which I forget which. Might have been a video, might have been a podcast, might have been whatever. But the person that was talking, the guest, actually said, it never ends. Yeah, it never. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers. Yeah, now I remember. It took me a second for it to click, but I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Blasphemous HD, for those of you that know him. Um, and I realized that Blasphemous HD is not the best role model. Trust me, if you watch his vids, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, watch with your own precaution, because he does tend to do some pretty raunchy vids. But he was doing a video talking about like the 14 or 15 life lessons that nobody ever taught him. And one of them is, keep doing the grind once you make it. And he said, I know a lot of people, he goes, I know a lot of you guys out there get starry-eyed, and that, you think, oh, I made it, I can now relax, I can take a break. He goes, that's an illusion. He goes, you'll lose your fame just as quickly as you worked 10, 12 years to make it in one day. He goes, I'm not even joking. He said, there is no real rest period. Even if you're at the top, you still have to keep working. And then I started reading all these stories, especially related to comics, where even the pros, even people like Gail Simone or Mark Waid, when they make pitches, they get rejected. And so that led me to recently start questioning, okay, I've been doing this for fun because I've been trying to gain the experience, and I've been trying to learn and trying to make it, but then now it kind of makes me wonder, am I really going to make it? And if I do make it, am I going to be any good? Because by nature, guys, I don't mind doing a little bit of work, but I don't think that I could do the work repetitiously. And I keep telling myself that I probably can do it, but fantasy versus reality is two different things, guys. So I've been towards the end of this year starting to have a lot of self-doubt, and that's another thing that I had brought to my attention all throughout the year, or years I should say. It's been pointed out to me for many, many years, but that I never really grasped it until I was finally told that, you're a pretty selfish person, Steve. Anytime somebody has problems, you always twist it and make it about yourself. And I got really hurt and offended by that, but I think what hurt the most was that I knew that statement was true. And I kept denying it for years and years. It's not me, it's them mentality. But I'm at a point in my age, guys, where I'm, fast approaching 30. They say with age comes wisdom. You start to gain a better understanding of the world around you. And I gave it some thought. And the person that told me that was not completely wrong. They were right to finally just bluntly tell me, it's like, hey, look, you're a selfish person by nature. You clearly don't care about anybody but yourself. And it's one of those, if somebody that didn't truly know me, I wouldn't take it that seriously. But since the person or persons who said that to me are people that I trust their opinion and I trust their word. It deeply cut me, but it was a deep cut that needed to be made because, I am a selfish person by nature, guys. I don't, I do these vids for free because I need a hobby or something to articulate myself verbally. But I have to call into question, am I really doing what's right for me, or am I doing what's simply right for the people around me? And really, I'm not doing anything for the people around me. I'm kind of pointing and wagging my finger at, certain people that I called selfish, that I, called about using and abusing people and using them as an ends to a mean. But at the same time, I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I'm kind of doing the same thing. It's just not as, voracious, if I'm even using that word correctly. Probably not. I need to start carrying a Webster's dictionary whenever I want to use, like, intellectual wording. But I'm coming to the realization, guys, about a lot of things about myself. And not a lot of good things. And I'm not saying that I'm a terrible, absolute person. I'm, the biggest scumbag on the planet, because I'm not. But it's just there's some things that I've had to seriously consider that I blew off for years. That people were just trying to get me to say, hey, it's like, you kind of act this way. It's like, and it's the whole, you beat it over somebody's head long enough, they either call it quits or they start to finally listen. And I finally, I guess, started to listen because I started to realize that, okay, it actually is me, it's not them, completely. But you know what? I'm not going to make a vow that I'm going to do better in this video because I don't like to make promises that I know I probably wouldn't keep, but I will at least say, guys, at least for the sake of this video, for the sake of a lot of you, that I am going to try to be better than what I honestly am. I'm gonna try to be better at a lot of things and be a better person on a lot of different fronts for the people that actually need me. It's funny that for many years I wanted, respect. I wanted to feel normal. I wanted to be successful. I got tired of feeling like I was a loser, and I wanted to be a winner by any means necessary. And I think now that I'm old enough to put a lot of, that childish, that very childish and, like, I don't know what to call it, but that mentality where I just get very cutthroat. And when I learn personal things about people, personal hurtful things that they trust me, to not bring up around others, that, when I feel like they betray me, or that, they take advantage of my trust and stuff, that I use that to cut them down to size. And, that's not right. And what's especially not right, that I can openly admit, and I don't like admitting it, but because it's very petty, but the whole point of this video is for me to open up to most of you that watch so you can understand. Because I'm an open door kind of guy. I feel like I don't like to keep, I mean, obviously I like to keep personal stuff to myself, and I will, but as far as like myself and what I've discovered, I feel like I have to be honest with you guys about that. At least be honest with myself. This isn't just, oh, I'm trying to get views. No, I want to admit this to myself on camera, but I also want to admit it to you guys as well. that I'm very bitter because of a lot of the things that have happened to me in my life, and I'm also very bitter because I look at a lot of the stuff that people have that genuinely have, not materialistic. We all get materialistic. Let's stop right there. We all get materialistic, guys, but I think for me it's the emotional side of it. I mean, I understand a lot of you aren't in the healthiest of relationships or aren't in stable relationships, but you get to have somebody that you call your own, whereas I was with my ex in high school 9, 10 years ago, and I still feel very crushed emotionally from that, and I know I shouldn't be. But it's just every time I see cutesy couples kissing in front of a wishing well in the mall, I want to shove both the boyfriend and the girlfriend into the pool. I am living the phrase of misery loves company. I don't like people that are happier than I feel I should be. Now, I talk about all the negative parts of myself, or at least the ones that I feel are relevant to this conversation. So let me, after I've done breaking myself down, talking about all the bad stuff about myself, let me talk about the good things about myself. Let me bring myself back up a little bit so that way you guys aren't concerned. I've had the great fortune to meet a lot of great people, both in the world of professional wrestling, comic books, movies, etc. I never honestly thought in my life that I would be able to get the opportunities that the last 3, 4 years have afforded. And that is something I try to remind myself not to take for granted, because it could be over as instantaneously as it began. I've also had the great fortune of having a lot of close friends, friends that really shouldn't stick by me and shouldn't defend me, but that I'm glad that they're there, and I'm glad that they're encouraging, and they tell me that it's okay to be the way that I am, but also accept that I need to change. I have a very supportive family. It's just, it's very difficult because sometimes I feel that I do get very much stuck in my own head, and I start to perceive stuff completely the wrong way, and I know I do. I believe that it's every single woman around me that they just think that I'm a creep. But maybe there's a deep truth to that. Maybe I am a creep. It's That's the thing about life, is when you realize all your flaws, all your weaknesses, you try to strengthen them, but you also work on what you're good at. You work on your strengths. Despite being admitting that I'm a very selfish and miserable person by nature, I do like making people laugh. I do like making people feel good. I do like to, you know, sometimes a little too much and making it one-sided, but I do like conversating with people, and I like talking about the things that I like, and I like sharing the experiences that I have in meeting people, that I've always wanted to meet, these celebrities or people in the wrestling world that I always admired or liked and cheered for when I was a kid, etc. and so forth. I mean, to meet Joel from Mystery Science Theater, Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca from Star Wars, to have the opportunity to meet all the people that work on the indie and pro scene of comics. I mean, from Walton Louise Simonson to Gail Simone to Greg Pak to Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. I've I've met a lot of cool people, and I always have to remind myself that I've done so, but sometimes it's hard when it feels like it's not enough. And I think that's the biggest flaw here with me is I'm happy and I'm very blessed and fortunate, but I feel like the ball has to keep rolling. Because in the moment that the ball stops rolling, that's when everything just goes back downhill and it goes back to square one, and I go back to being the same old Steve, negative, pessimistic, very doubtful, overly emotional, very aggressive, very angry, very bitter, and it's one of those, I acknowledge it, but I don't do anything about it, but maybe I need to start doing so. Maybe instead of being the Steve that I try to perceive myself on the camera, being happy-go-lucky, being energetic, being loud, being obnoxious, but also being, nerdy and a little bit like, self-absorbed, not in a negative way, but in like, just, I'm, talking and having a one-sided conversation practically about, the different Marvel movies and whatnot. Maybe I need to start, being honest with myself and being honest with you guys. And I feel like this is the first therapeutic step, is admitting that, maybe what I think isn't a facade actually, might end up being a facade. And I've just lied to myself so much that I started to believe it. And that's not to say that you won't see me do videos anymore. It's not to say that you won't see any more Let's Plays on the Sly Cooper 88 gaming channel, if it still is around after this video gets posted. But it just means, guys, that you might see me do therapeutic vlogs where I start maybe being honest about how I feel. Maybe I should start doing that. Maybe I should start doing not mental health or emotional health, but just, like maybe a semi-daily vlog, like maybe one that I alternate between, posting every other like week or something. So, I don't know. I mean, I may figure something out, I may not. But I don't know why I feel like I have to do this video. I really should keep a lot of this to myself. But at the same time, I'm an honest person. Genuinely, by nature, I'm an honest person. I don't like to keep secrets from people. And I know most of you probably don't care. But the ones that do care, that watch my vids, that get invested in me personally as a person, I do kind of feel like I have to say, that I'm sorry that I let you down, even though I really have no expectation of like letting you down, since I'm just, somebody that you watch on YouTube. But I feel like I kind of have to apologize. Not because it's to save face, not because it's a PR stunt, not because of anything, but because to me it just morally feels right. You feel like you should know the person that's behind the camera. The person that, as happy and energetic as I am, once that camera switches off, I still am a little bit happy, but now it's like, oh, on to the next thing. And I enjoy life, but I enjoy it in small doses. Yeah, excuse me. I enjoy it in small doses. But I'm not really sure that I really enjoy myself. Because I always dread the moment ending, and I think it's just the fear that once the moment is over, the reality sets in that there may not be a next time. There may not be... I may not get another chance for certain things, and maybe that's not true. Maybe it's all in my head. It's as I told a friend Saturday night when he was driving me home. I was, telling him, I'm like, I look at everybody as if I'm going to see them for the last time. And I observe the moment. I try and cherish it. Because I know that once it's over, those thoughts are going to creep back into my head. I surround myself with, comics and material objects and all kinds of stuff because I want to feel happy. I want to feel complete. And the sad part is that the stuff that should make me feel complete, I kind of take for a little bit of granted more than I care to admit. I don't know if I can change that. I don't know if it's easy to say that I'd be willing to change, but to actually put it into action, I'm just not sure about. But anyway, that's a different blog for a different time. We are approaching 31 minutes. I actually feel a tiny bit better after getting all that off my chest. It's not everything that I wanted to get out, but it's 10:06. I'm pretty exhausted, still getting used to the jet lag from visiting my grandparents. And plus, I gotta go back to work tomorrow. So it probably would be a good idea if in a couple of minutes I start getting ready and maybe, like, go to bed and try to get a decent amount of sleep because I've been up, late pretty much all of last week, all the way leading up to today. So I think that probably has made me a little bit more emotional than it really should, because sometimes lack of sleep will do that. Lack of sleep it'll make your mind go to sometimes very dark places. Not like dark, but just more like, like questions of self-doubt and, the whole, thought process of not really thinking straight and then saying something that you regret to the people that you care about, or, ugly truths that you've kind of kept to yourself, finally revealed in a lapse of judgment, etc. or so forth. So I want you guys to do me a favor. When you guys stop watching this vid, or if I post this vid, I might not even post this vid. I might just be doing this vid just to vent. I might not ever release it. But if this vid does get released, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go towards your friends, your family, the people that matter most to you within your family or your friends, etc. or so forth. And I want you to apologize to them for any wrongdoing that you did to them, if you did do them wrong. Whether they know about it or not, but just apologize to them. Be honest with yourself. Don't just make it up. Just be sincere in apologizing and admitting, what you've done wrong, and, talk your problems out. That's the problem with the world today. People don't want to be honest with themselves, and they don't want to be honest with the people around them. And when the people around them find out what happened, it starts to create trust issues. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't tell them every single dark secret that you have, but just try and keep an open door. Not just for yourself, but for them as well. I think that's part of my problem. I'll listen, but I don't think I really listen. I think I look for stuff to relate to and turn it back to myself. And, having realized that, I think maybe it's time I start to do a lot of genuine soul searching. Not just say I'm going to soul search and then think for a couple of hours or less than a day, but have it be an ongoing thing where I start to continuously, find my mantra, find my center. Because I think that's part of the problem. I'm looking to be successful too quickly, and it's leading me to have a lot of opportunities pass me by, and opportunities that are there for me, kind of be invisible. So, if you guys are seeing this video, then I chose to release it. And like I said, if you have, just keep an open door policy for yourself and others. And especially don't beat yourself up over it. Because I kind of am beating myself up over it, but I kind of rightfully do, because I've made a lot of mistakes. And that, having the time to think about it, I realize that a lot of the stuff that's happening now with me in the last couple of months or so, not that this has been a bad year, but just the last couple of months or so have been a little rougher than usual for me, and I think that's because, my house of cards is kind of falling because stuff that I should have taken care of, I didn't. And now I gotta set my house in order, otherwise, just let it fall and rebuild, one or the other. So with that, guys, it is 10:11, 10:12. It is 36 minutes, going on almost 37. So I'm tired. I think I've said all about really as much as I care to say. So if you're seeing this vid, just please do as I promised, or at least promise me that you'll do what I've said. If you're not seeing this and I'm just doing this to vent, then well, I feel a lot better, and the world may or may not ever know. So that is that.